In 1951, following the Second World War, Britain became a signatory of the Refugee Convention, which set out the rights of those seeking asylum and the responsibilities of the signatories granting asylum. It specifically stipulated that it applied to those being persecuted for reasons of race, religion or nationality, membership of a particular social group or political opinion, quote, as a result of events occurring before the 1st of January 1951. In other words, it was particularly in response to the Holocaust and the other horrors the world witnessed in the 1940s during the Second World War. However, in 1967, this stipulation was removed, which meant that it applied to all contexts and was no longer confined to the events of the 1940s. But as the world has increasingly globalised, as the Home Secretary pointed out today, this revised 1967 definition now applies to hundreds of millions of people, and the agreement doesn't account for the fact that migrant smuggling has become a business of organised crime on a global scale. There is widespread belief that the main problem with our asylum system is the lack of safe and legal routes, and if only we had this infrastructure in place, we would solve the Channel boats crisis and, more broadly, the refugee crisis. Unfortunately, under the definition we are held to by the Convention, we could potentially expect to accept hundreds of millions of people. Now, of course, the majority of people that fit this definition wouldn't necessarily apply for asylum in the UK, but there's no denying that if we provided avenues across the world for these applicants, we would see huge numbers trying to come here. And two problems flow from this, two very practical problems. One, the domestic infrastructure, housing, hospitals and schools would crumple under the sheer weight of numbers. And two, the existing population wouldn't accept it. It would eject any government that tried to do this. And the numbers are truly vast if we had such routes. An estimated 40 million people are in modern slavery. 89 million people are displaced. 27 million people are considered refugees by the UN. In addition, the Centre for Policy Studies estimates that when you add all of this up, those who fit the claim to the Refugee Convention definition, it will be about 780 million people who could have a case for asylum in the UK. And this is patently absurd. And there's something fundamentally dishonest about being a signatory to an agreement that, if it actually applied, you would not be able to deliver on. And there are 146 signatories to this convention. But not one of them, including our own country, the United Kingdom, can possibly be serious about its full implications. The definition is so broad that it applies to hundreds of millions of people. But none of the signatories could accept such numbers. Surely, we want our politicians and our treaties to be honest and practical. Well, the only way we can do that is by rewriting the Convention, and the Home Secretary has done well to point out its current absurdity.